In the interest of timeliness, let's get started. We'll continue to let those people in who are not here yet as they come. So I'd like to say good evening. My name is Nancy Forsyth, and I am a board member on the Down Syndrome Network of Montgomery County, and I'm the project lead on the project that we are here to discuss tonight. Welcome to our presentation of the project See Ability, Individuals with Down Syndrome and Employment. The goal of the See Ability project was to look inside the jobs that people with Down syndrome do in order to elucidate the skills and abilities that they use successfully on their jobs every day. We wanted to highlight these talents and showcase them for employers. We want to encourage employers to look more carefully at individuals with Down syndrome as an untapped and capable and eager talent pool. At the conclusion of tonight's program, I'm sure you'll agree with me that there is an abundance of untapped talent in our community. First, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. We would ask you all to remain muted and preferably use the chat for questions and comments. If you prefer to speak, please raise your hand and wait to be called on in order to raise your question or comment. So I want to begin tonight with some thank yous to the community of people who have supported us in the See Ability project. I would like to thank the board, my fellow board members from the Down Syndrome Network of Montgomery County for their camaraderie and their support and their creativity and their enthusiasm for all things Down syndrome. I also want to thank our very capable and generous staff, Brooke Livy and Joy Stein. We've asked a lot of them during this project. They've come through. Thank you very much. We're very grateful to the ARC of Maryland for funding to support this program through the Spark Tank Grant Program. And we'd like to thank all the individuals with Down syndrome who participated in our project. We conducted a survey, as well as did focus groups and interviews with individuals with Down syndrome about their employment. And these are the individuals who participated in our study. We couldn't have done it without them. You'll meet some of them in our video tonight, but we're very proud. And we also want to thank the employers who we were able to connect with in order to get their perspective on hiring people with Down syndrome and helping to support them towards success on the job. Finally, I want to thank our project staff. I was project lead, but it was really Lindsay Whitkind and Teresa Brogan who really made this project happen. I'm deeply grateful to them. Lindsay as our research assistant, Teresa as our project assistant. They really did, they did an amazing amount of work, and you'll see the results of that tonight. And we'd also like to acknowledge Robert Lodge, who was the producer of the video that you will see as part of our program tonight. We're going to begin our presentation tonight with the video. Now, we have to tell you, this is a rough cut of our video. It's not, it's still a work in progress. You'll notice you'll notice why when you watch it, but we're super proud of it, and it certainly conveys the idea that people with Down syndrome have skills and abilities that are untapped, unrecognized largely by the public, and that we need to promote more to the employer community in the state of Maryland. So let's show the video.
Are you able to see the video or a black screen right now? It will be
Black
the video.
screen.
Okay.
Yeah. No sound, Lindsay.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
There's no sound.
Oh, there's no sound. One moment. It's probably because I need to be unmuted. Let's try again.
There's no motions. Well, maybe if there's motion, there's
Some
sound.
people think individuals with Down syndrome
Can you hear it now? Could you hear that? Okay, great.
cannot run and cannot walk. We disagree. We want you to see what individuals with Down syndrome can do. We conducted a research project surveying people with Down syndrome about their jobs, and we conducted focus groups to learn more about what people with Down syndrome do at work and the skills and abilities they use every day.
We also interviewed employers and supervisors.
And now we want to tell you what we have learned. We want you to see ability. Hi, my name is Megan Jones.
And I am Andrea Kuznerics. In our video, you will hear from employers and people with Down syndrome. Come, meet us, see our abilities.
Customized employment is based on skills. It's not based on deficits. And so I think parents have kind of heard this message of customizing employment, which is a different focus than supported employment, where supported employment was really, it was really deficit driven. It was still saying, yes, we want people to be employed, but we would carve positions. You know, we would say, well, Nancy can't do this or this, but she can do this. And it was very deficit focused, where now we're saying Nancy has this big box of skills, and here's how this big box of skills can help this business. And so we want to create opportunities within your business for Nancy, because she can bring all this value to your business.
100% of the individuals in our research participated in career preparation classes and internship activities focused on teaching specific job skills and general professional workplace behaviors and skills. 10 of our 15 respondents participated in post-secondary education at a community college or four-year university. For example, Vanderbilt University, Mason University, and the University of Maryland. Let's meet some of our participants. Meet Ramon. Ramon studied computer technology at the community college, and now he converts files to PDFs and uploads them into a specialized platform at the Department of Veterans Affairs.
In order for me to be a good worker, that I'm always focused on the job, and I listen to the boss, and I make sure I meet all the deadlines in my office. And that's one of the main keys of the job. And I'm listening to what he's saying is correct. So I meet the deadlines and other stuff.
Meet Anna. Anna took a class on using Excel at a community college, and now she labels journals with the Library of Congress classification and enters data on journals into a specialized library database?
I work in the library in natural history. I deal with the books, like I do labeling for the books.
Meet Melissa. Melissa took classes at the community college on child development and earned her certification in child care. Now she works as a teacher's assistant and keeps up with her continuing education credits. Meet Teresa. Teresa was a project assistant on the Disability Grant. Now she is back in school at Vanderbilt University, studying to be a teacher's assistant and currently interning in a family and child center there.
One of the kids, her name was Charlotte, and she had stuff to do, and one of them is called language packets, and it's kind of like a packet with all the stuff she's doing during the time now. So it's just she's learning how to write, how to supplement, and she's like, okay, I got this. And then this one, she's like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. But I just take a 5-minute break, go use the washroom, and then come back. So I went to the bathroom, and then the other student, his name was Shad, and he told me this student, I had my moment. He said, you're a great teacher. You're happy to have you here. This tweet. So I was like, oh, thanks, Rashad.
This is me, Adrian. I went to a 4-year program at George Mason University, had a congressional internship, and now I am the second registered lobbyist with Down syndrome on Capitol Hill. I inspire elected officials to help enrich and enhance the lives of people with disabilities. Either if they want to get married or employment. I feel confident by doing the work I'm doing. I'm making a big difference in other people's lives. It's like I'm a leader in a team, and I'm ambitious. I'm passionate. At the same time, when I look at somebody with Down syndrome or autism or any disability, I know they can have a great future.
This is Megan. I am studying American Sign Language at a community college while working at Giant Foods. My goal is to be a sign language interpreter.
In libraries, in our technical services work is really, really suited, I think, because so much of it is on patterns, right? Yeah. Patterns and standards, and data is recorded the same way for many things. And we use like the Library of Congress classification schedule for everything. So it's one tool to know, and you just have to build on that, right? And it's the constant reinforcing the use of it. You just can't expect, anybody to know it.
I was told when I first started, you're never going to have someone with an intellectual disability drive a forklift. Well, why not? And I think that was how I went into it with, well, why not? Why can't a person with an intellectual disability or any disability for that matter work a third shift? And no one had an answer for me. So that's really how it started. Like, okay, well, if you don't answer for me, I can push it a little bit further, right?
And so I would love for Bank of America or, some of the people that they have on their list to say, here's how we could start. We could start like with schools interning and those interns turning into jobs and then those jobs leading to careers. That's ultimately what we want.
And that was really the premise of my training was just ask why. Ask why the person can't do it, right? And how can you help that person be successful? And at the end of my training, it was, if we took this kind of approach with everyone, regardless of disability status, what can I do to make you successful? I think our world will be a little bit better, but definitely our workplaces will be better, for sure.
We learned that people with Down syndrome frequently use technology in their jobs. Our participants are using email systems and electronic calendars. They are preparing slide decks for presentations. They are working with spreadsheets, data entry software, and document management software. And they are using industry-specific software such as inventory tracking systems and medical record software. We learned that our participants are excellent at customer service. They are active listeners whose social and communication skills can be directed to serve customers and clients. Our participants are skilled at observing, receiving, and identifying necessary information from relevant sources to get the job done.
Our participants communicate as part of teams in their jobs to learn process, answer questions, take orders, and address complaints. And they develop strong and cooperative relationships over time with coworkers, customers, and clients. We learned that they monitor their performance and that of others, including checking work for accuracy and detail, and that they have strength, coordination, stamina, and endurance for physical demanding tasks.
I want to tell the world that make sure you include everyone in the world, like people with disabilities and without. But people with disabilities are very important to the world right now because I want them to have a great life.
I want them to know that they just have to work really hard and really pay attention on what they're doing.
Don't build boundaries. Don't build walls. Don't think small about us. People with Down syndrome are the most loyal and committed to do the work you set out for us.
We hope you have learned about the skills and abilities of people with Down syndrome, that people with Down syndrome can work and want to work across industries and in many different types of jobs we are successful. We hope we have helped you to see ability. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our first edition, our first version of our video. Now I'm going to introduce you to our wonderful panelists. I'm going to ask people to please say your name, your job title, and where you work. Let's start with Megan. Go ahead and unmute and say your name, your job title, and where you work. Let me spotlight you, Megan.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Jones, and I work at Giant, but I'm also waiting to hear if I can go back to work at Transcend, Mid-Atlantic ADA Center. And can you help me out with the last question?
And job title and where you work. So you kind of did that all combined.
Okay. So I'm also at Giant with a courtesy clerk. And then I also used to work at Transcend as a administrative assistant.
Thank you, Megan. Now we will introduce Adrian. Let me spotlight you, Adrian,
Uh-oh.
on my screen.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Adrian Kosenirix, and I am a peer advocate for the TRIPS Exceeds at the University of Maryland.
Thank you, Adrian. Now let's hear from Melissa. Go ahead.
My name is Melissa Silverman. I'm a teacher assistant at Franklin Elementary School.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melissa. All right, now let's hear from Ramon.
My name is Ramon DePaula. I work for the U.S. government of the Department of Veterans Affairs, Office of the General Counsel. I am a legal clerk.
Thank you, Ramon. And Teresa, let's hear from you. Let me spotlight you. All right, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Teresa Bergen. Some of you know me, but some of you don't. I am a teacher assistant at I'm actually a student here at Vanderbilt in Tennessee, in Nashville, but I'm a assistant teacher at the Family Childhood Center here, and yeah, I love it.
And Teresa was also a project assistant on this.
On this
project.
job too, so shy.
Thanks, Teresa. All right, and I'm also going to introduce Laura Owens. Let me put you in the spotlight. I'll introduce you and then you can say a few words if you'd like. Laura is the president of Transcend. She's currently a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. She's also the founder and president of Creative Employment Opportunities in Milwaukee. She is an internationally known speaker and is passionate about her work helping individuals with disabilities obtain and maintain employment. We're so happy to have you here. If you have any additional words, we'd love to hear them.
Well, I just appreciate being here. I'm sorry I was a little late, but the words from Ramon and Melissa and Megan and Adrian, Teresa, you guys are so inspiring to me, and you are the reason that I do the work that I do. This is such an awesome video, and I'm hoping that I can show it to all of my students so that they can believe in the power of your dreams and make sure that their students have those same opportunities. So I congratulate all of you. This was such an amazing project. Your words are so incredible. And somebody put in the chat that the closing message, Adrian, from you, so powerful, so incredibly powerful. So I am just honored to be in the presence of you all. So thank you so much for inviting me to this and being part of it.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to all of our panelists for their introductions. You know, we have asked each of the panelists if we could ask them one question in order to get a little bit more at their experience and their perceptions of skills and abilities as individuals with Down syndrome or an employer of the same. So we'll do that before we open for questions and comments. And again, we encourage you to use the chat as you are doing to put forward your questions and comments. Let me start with a question to you, Laura, since you're still pinned. Laura, you have extensive experience working with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I wonder if you could help our audience understand a bit of, where we're at in terms of the movement for more inclusive workplaces.
Sure. So, it's interesting. Today, I presented to a group of provider organizations and teachers on the importance of employment and engaging with employers. And then this afternoon, I did a presentation to employers on the importance of engaging with individuals with disabilities. And so I feel like my day has just been rounded out tonight. But we have a long way to go. I mean, the Americans with Disabilities Act is 31 years old, and yet the unemployment rate for people with disabilities is still more than double what it is for people without disabilities. And I feel like we really need to do a better job of tapping into the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act, the pre-employment transition services, and do a better job in schools so that students, when they are 16, 17, 18, have weekend jobs, after school jobs, summer jobs that can then lead to integrated employment. And then that integrated employment in high school leads to careers as adults. So we have come a short way, but we have a long way to go. And I think the power is in the voices of the young adults that we've seen today to talk about the importance of employment and what they're doing and advocate for themselves. But I think that we have to bridge that gap a little bit differently, and we have to be a force, and we have to, I do think COVID is going to really help us because employers are looking for qualified workers, and we have the supply, we have qualified workers. So we need to get out there and show employers that people with disabilities can be valuable assets to their businesses. So I think this is our tipping point. I think we need to move forward. We have a long way to go, but we've come a long way. From when I first started in the field 40 years ago. So we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go. And I don't want to rest on our laurels. I want to keep moving this agenda forward. So employment first is in every state. Customized employment is really the lay of the land of what we do to help people with disabilities obtain employment. So we just have to keep this train moving forward.
Thank you for your enthusiasm, Laura. One thing we did not touch on in the video, but is a significant issue for employers, is the role of support personnel in employment of people with intellectual developmental disabilities, Down syndrome in this case. Can you talk a little bit about the role of providers?
I think we have to educate providers and we have to educate teachers. I think sometimes we don't have as high expectations as the people that we're supporting. And we are there as providers to support individuals, to find out what they want, and then to help them get grab that brass ring. And so I think that it's about advocating, about high expectations. Provider agencies are only as good as how we push them. So when you're looking for a provider agency, I think it's important to interview them, to ask them about what their process is, how do they get to know people, how do they match skills and abilities with employment needs, what is their placement rate, how do they support people, and what does that look like? And I think that we need to kind of push them a little bit as well. I'm a provider and I like it when families and individuals push us. I love that Megan pointed out that I'm still waiting to get a call back from Transcend. I loved that because we really are working to get her back. We have to figure it out. And COVID has changed our practices as a business, but good for Megan because she is always on calling me, emailing me, texting me, and that's what we need. And so as an employer, I love that. I think it's great that she's out there saying, I want to come back. So as a provider agency, I think sometimes we take the path of least resistance rather than pushing and saying, what is it that you really want to do? The providers that I talked with today were kind of like, well, what if somebody, one of the providers said, well, we have a person who wants to start his own business and he's really, really passionate about it, but his team who's supporting him is mixed. and they think he should just get a job first, but he doesn't want that. He really wants to start this business. And she kept saying over and over again how passionate he was about starting this business, but they don't think that that's a right thing. They think he should get a job. And I said, okay, I just need to stop you because if he is passionate about starting his own business, that's where you go with it. Even if he fails, that's okay. He'll learn from that experience. But if he's passionate about starting his own business, that's where you start. You don't just plunk him in a job someplace where he's going to end up failing. You say, okay, let's work with you on this business, move things forward, and then work with him as he negotiates that path of starting his own business. So as providers, I think sometimes we take the safe route. And I think sometimes people with disabilities need to push us a little bit to say, I want more than that.
Great, thank you. We'll come back. We're getting some questions in the chat, but we did ask our panelists to prepare a question. So let's let them speak to those questions first. So can we start with Melissa? So Melissa, hold on a second while Lindsay spotlights you. There we go. So Melissa, you are a teacher's assistant at Franklin Elementary School. Can you tell us what a typical day at work is like for you?
Okay. Typical day. I greet the kids in the morning. As they come in, I open the door and I say good morning. And also I tell the parents, have a good day. And yeah, in the morning, it's not much hands-on, but in the afternoon, there's more hands-on. There's more hands-on things like I play with the kids, and I encourage, if they don't want to play, I encourage them to build and to build something or to play a board game, and I just play with them. And yeah, and one important thing that I do is make sure the kids are safe, and I enjoy working with them.
Great, Melissa. Thank you for sharing that. Let's hear from Megan.
Okay.
Famous Megan here.
Yep. That's me.
Okay, Megan, we know because we have seen you sign many times spontaneously, no matter what we ask you to sign, you're capable of doing it. And it's really shocking. It's wonderful. So we asked you if you would like to sign something, so please do. But Megan, just know that we can't really see your hands from the way your camera is. So if you could just move back a little bit. Okay.
Do this here.
Excellent.
And lift them up so that way I can actually sign, and I'm actually going to talk too, so that way everyone can understand what I'm saying.
Okay, hands up.
Okay. So I also take classes at a community college at Montgomery College, and I'm taking ASL classes for credit and working at Giant to make a living also as well, to pay for the classes at Montgomery College.
Thank you, Megan. That's terrific. And maybe, if we have another question, we'll ask you to sign that too. Let's move on to Ramon.
I'm here.
Hey, Ramon, how are you?
I'm fine, you?
Good. Ramon, you have worked at the VA for a long time. Can you tell us how long have you worked at the VA and what is it that makes you so proud of your work at the VA?
Okay, in my work as a VA, I've been working for 16 years and it's almost going to be 17 soon. It's going to be next year, next year comes around, it'll be 17 years almost. So for my job, what was proud that the way for me, that I served my country, and just like the veterans did, my grandparents were in the military. So this way, I can serve the country like what they did, and I try to do my best always. And
Thank you, Ramon. I bet your grandparents are very proud of you.
yes, they are.
Great. Adrienne, can we talk with you? Adrienne, you mentioned that you are a registered lobbyist. That's impressive. Can you tell us what a lobbyist does?
A true lobbyist is someone who builds relationships with their legislators. They educate, they motivate, they raise awareness about what the disability community wants and needs. They also help pass legislations such as phasing out certain workshops for people with disabilities. And that, my friends, is what a true lobbyist is.
Bravo. Thank you for that performance.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Teresa, last but not least. Teresa, you mentioned that you are in the Next Steps program at Vanderbilt University. I wonder if everybody knows what a program like that is. So can you tell people what the Next Steps program is?
Yes, I can do that. So Next Steps is a program that they bring people with disabilities, and they have like advisors like checking in, like how you doing on your assignments and all that. And I have to do that too. So I'm not the only one, but they do that, and they just like they do like really fun stuff. But the most important thing is that are welcoming more students to Next Steps. Next Steps, I just said this, it's a program that includes people with disabilities, so we can get some help with the other students, so we can make friendships. And we're hoping that they will like Next Steps as well.
Great, thank you. So we do have some questions here in the chat. So here's a question for Melissa and Teresa. Melissa, I'll ask you this question first, and then Teresa, I'll ask you. Melissa, the person who wrote this question says, I have a 13-year-old daughter with Down syndrome who loves little kids. What would you recommend to her to prepare to be a teacher's assistant like you?
I started in high school. I took a class called child development, and then I went to CBC Dundalk Community College. The first year I did my academic, and then the second year I got the second year I went to there's a program called Single Step program at Dundalk Community College, and they provide child care classes, and that's how I got my 90 hour. And I work really hard, and also during that time, I did an internship in Dundalk at a center to work with kids, and then I went back to Dundalk to get more classes. So it's like back and forth. But my recommendation is start in high school and build up your career in child care.
Great advice, Melissa. Thank you. Very impressive that you completed that certification in childcare. So you're officially certified. Excellent. Okay, Teresa, what would you say? What should this parent tell a 13-year-old girl who wants to do what you're doing?
So my recommendational advice to your 13-year-old daughter, if I was you, I'd just say there's future out there for you that can be assistant teacher, but the big advice for that is make sure you know all of the kids' names, because I now I have all down, but got me like 2 weeks getting the names down. But so it's just like make sure you like encourage them to like, I get what Melissa just said, but it's like it's the same thing, but not really. They can take a class if you want in high school, and but for me right now, so take class and then in high school, and then after high school you have to go to college. So that's what I'm in right now, in college. So I think that's my advice to your 13-year-old daughter, and to you. You just have to like say, if you want to do it, that's the path you want to stay in. And just say to your 13-year-old daughter, so like, you got this. No one can define your disability, so just do it.
That's the attitude we like. Laura, I'll pitch this one to you. Are there any incentives for employers to hire people with disabilities?
Did you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So, yes, there are incentives, but I again hope that someday we don't have to incentivize the employment for people with disabilities. Maybe I'm a Pollyanna, but I would like employers to hire people with disabilities because of their talents, skills, and what they bring to their business. But having said that, there are incentives. There's the work opportunities tax credit, where employers could get a tax credit based on the wages that they pay somebody up to 2 years. There's a form that they have to fill out. So some employers, larger employers, have people who will actually do that for them. Smaller employers, usually provider agencies, will do it for the employer. So that's one incentive. The other incentive is, just having the support from a provider agency to be able to go in and provide disability awareness training and accommodations, and provide employers with the information and tools that they need to provide the support, not only for people with disabilities that they've hired, but also for non-disabled people who might also need some support. So those are some of the major incentives. And, we don't have, thankfully, a quota law. We don't have, you have to hire X number of people with disabilities. which I think is actually very good. I think that employers should hire individuals based on their quality of work and not just because they get a tax break for it. There's also internships where an employer could hire somebody as an intern. And then their wages would be paid through on-the-job training funds through state vocational rehabilitation. So during that probationary period, an employer wouldn't be paying the person's wages, but the ultimate goal is that they would hire that person permanently once the internship was over. So those are two of the big incentives for employers.
There's also a tax incentive in the state of Maryland, which is similar to the work opportunities tax.
Yes. Some states have tax incentives on top of the federal tax incentives as well. Thanks, Nancy. Yep. Mhm.
Laura, as long as you're on, there was a question that was for you. What kind of support is available to parents, to employers, to employ people with disabilities? So I think that's the provider question from the perspective of employers.
Yeah, so for employers, I mean, that's where providers come in, and we as providers should be able to offer employers disability awareness training, again, assisting them with finding out, how to interview somebody, how to provide feedback to somebody on the job, how to fire somebody if need be, so provider agencies are really there to support employers as well as employees with disabilities. And so that's kind of our role as that intermediary to provide support to both sides. And then, there are organizations like Transcend. We have the Mid-Atlantic ADA Centers. So if an employer were interested in knowing more about Title I, which is the employment title under the ADA, and any employer could call us and we could come in and do a training on the ADA for them so that they understand their rights under the law and how to go about providing reasonable accommodations for people. There's federal through the Office of Disability Employment Policy. There is EARN, which is a group that provides a lot of employer information about how to hire, how to accommodate, how to work with a provider agency. And then there's the Job Accommodations Network, JAN, which is also helpful for employers to figure out, I've got this person with a disability, I don't know how to accommodate them. So here are some strategies to accommodate this person. So EARN and JAN are two groups that you could just go online and Google them and get information as an employer.
Great, thanks, Laura.
Mhm.
I think somebody needs to mute. Not me. I'm not muted, but it's not me. Adrienne, here's a question. I don't know. Good luck with this one. See what you can do with it. Adrienne, is there legislation that promotes employment of people with disabilities?
There is. It's phasing out structured workshops.
That's one.
That's one. Which
But
was
people, why don't you explain that a little more?
so phasing structured workshops. That bill, I don't know the number of the bill, but I do know that the bill is to help phase out that is to phase out structured workshops from
You mean from segregated and
segregated programs,
employment?
and some of these programs pay people with disabilities pennies on the hour on section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Great, thank you.
Nancy, you're on mute.
Thank you, Lindsay. I think, the basic systems that support employment of people with disabilities include the home and community-based waiver in the Medicare bill. So that is a piece of federal legislation that creates a partnership between the federal government and states that pays for the provider services that Laura was just talking about. So that legislation promotes employment by promoting support for individuals with disabilities and employers to make workplaces more inclusive. And as well, the Rehab Act is another piece of legislation that supports the Division of Rehabilitation Services, or DOORS, in the state of Maryland, which is another source of similar support, employer-based support and job and helping people to find employment for people with disabilities. So those are like the two major systems that support employment of people with disabilities that are governed by law. Okay, am I missing another question in here? Do we have data about the number of people with disabilities who are working? Yeah. So I think, as Laura said, the employment to population ratio for people without disabilities is about double that of people with disabilities. So people with disabilities are working far less than people without disabilities. And I work at a university, and I was shocked to learn that if you thought perhaps people with disabilities worked less because they were not as well educated, for example, they did not go to college as frequently as people without disabilities, well, you'd be wrong, because even in the state of Maryland, great education state that we are, the people without disabilities still work twice as much as people with disabilities with a college degree. So going to college does nothing to change that balance between people working with and without disabilities. There's amazing data available, Laura tells us, through the Office of Disability Employment Policy, ODEP, at the US Department of Labor. The Kessler Foundation and the University of New Hampshire's Disability Institute do wonderful work on monitoring disability employment monthly. Those are another two excellent places to find data. If you look at the chat, Laura is listing a lot of places where we can find the data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics she mentions, as well as, again, the US Department of Labor. Thanks for that question, great question. Is there another question, Lindsay? Oh,
I don't see any others in the chat. Let me scroll through again.
Oh, here's one. I know the federal government has preferential hiring for persons with disabilities. Does state government and/or Montgomery County have the same setup? Not the same setup, but similar. So the state government does have a preferential option for employment of people with disabilities in state jobs. It's not a widely used program. It's not quite as well known as the Schedule A program, the federal program in the state of Maryland, but it does exist. And Montgomery County does also have a program and is recently kind of ramping up its hiring of people with disabilities. Again, the place to find that information would be at the Montgomery County Human Resources website. Sharmista, do you have a question? Maybe not. Okay, we're at 8 o'clock. Do we have any further questions?
Sorry, okay. Oh, yeah, let me, okay. Yeah, this is Keshav Gupta and his mom, Sharmista Gupta. And my question was that we are not being able to find any agency or anywhere we can, he can get an employment. So I would appreciate if you have any link where we can get some success in applying with the government or county or anywhere, you know.
Laura, you want to take a shot?
Sorry, I gotta get myself off mute. Yeah, so my first, depending on where you are, I would probably start with doors. And that's the wrong link. I just put in that link from before. But doors is the Maryland Department of Education Division of Rehabilitation Services. And that would be the first place to start, because they're connected with provider agencies. But this is the key that I was talking about earlier. Be sure you interview. You have to advocate, because there's no requirement for anybody to do anything. You have to become eligible for services and you have to advocate. So be sure that you advocate and say, this is what we want. This is what we're looking for. They are under the law, under the Rehab Act. The state agency is supposed to give you a list of provider agencies, and then you would go out and interview those agencies to find out if they would be a good fit for you. And I think that's really important, my biggest piece of advice, because not all agencies are the same. And not all agencies provide the services that you might be looking for. So you want to make sure that you ask questions that pertain to what your needs are. But I would definitely start with the state, because they've got a list of provider agencies, if you haven't done that already.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Laura. And thank you for the question and good luck. I think we're at time, so I think we can wrap up. I want to again thank the terrific staff who worked on this project with me, Lindsay and Teresa, and to thank our wonderful panelists. And thank you, Laura, for tackling some tough questions and for presenting with us this evening. As we said earlier, the video is obviously a rough cut. We're working on finalizing it. And so we will make sure it's posted on the DSNMC website when it's ready. And we'll send y'all a message letting you know. So thank you all. Wonderful meeting. Deeply appreciate your support.
Thank you for everything. You guys are